I just thought I'd lead you through a few steps in order to get ready to put our fresh tomatoes from our garden into jars, and we're using the raw pack method. So first what I've done is I have taken hot jars, so I put these jars in the oven for 30 minutes, and I have put those in there with a half a teaspoon of citric acid in the bottom of the jar. So sorry, I did that when they came out of the oven. So I've put those, the reason why we're starting with hot jars is because you never want to have extreme temperature fluxes when you are canning. So I've used hot jars. So this is a 1.5 liter jar, and those are only available in Canada. So I'm going to be processing them for a little bit longer. So I've just taken my tomatoes, and you'll see that I have taken raw tomatoes. I have put them in a boiling pot of water. I have put an X on the bottom of each tomato before they've gone in the pot. So I have just X'd the tomato, and then I have put it in a pot of boiling water for 30 seconds. After I put it in the pot of boiling water for 30 seconds, I put it into a cold bowl of water. And that causes the skin to slip right off. So then I've cored the tomato, taken the top core part out. The peel has slipped right off, and I'm just putting them in the jars. So this is called the raw, so this one is an heirloom tomato. And the heirloom tomatoes tend to be a little bit more watery. We tend to eat those, but sometimes one slips in my batch of tomatoes. I've got about 25 pounds of tomatoes here from our garden, and they are a combination of paste, San Marzarino, Green Giant, Martian Giant, sorry, Green Giant, that's a different kind of vegetable, isn't it? I have done Martian Giant, Amish paste, some other different paste tomatoes, a few Scotia, which is a really good Nova Scotia brand of tomato that everybody uses. This one is a little unripe on the top, so that's been a little hard to peel, so I'm gonna just take that core out and just peel it with my hands there. And it still comes off pretty easily, you can see. It's just near the top when it's a little there. So after I have raw packed the tomatoes into the jar, I'm using the boiling water canner method. So I've already got my boiling water and my canner on, and I'm boiling that water. So I have taken the Amish paste tomatoes, all the different kinds. I've peeled them all, I've put them into the jars, and I have filled the jars to about half an inch of headspace with boiling water. So again, using all of the canning principles of keeping everything hot and the same temperature, okay? So I've got an empty jar, and I'm just gonna top that jar up that we just did to about half an inch of headspace in the jar, and that is going to be ready to wipe down with vinegar and put the canning lid on. So I use new lids every time, okay? So I've got some new lids that I had purchased a bit ago, and I have those all ready to go, and I am getting ready to put those on, and I'm gonna wipe the rims off with vinegar, put the tops on, put the rings on, and then I'm going to process them in the boiling water canner for 45 minutes, okay? That's because these are bigger jars. If they were smaller jars, I'd do them for 40 minutes. So this recipe came out of the Blue Book of Preserving, and that is like sort of my complete book of preserving. Sorry, but this is like my go-to sort of preserving book. It's always got lots of interesting recipes in it, and I have no doubts that everything in this book is safe, because everybody has a story, don't they, of their grandmother who never used to boil anything, who used to just flip it all in, you know, and put it in there and then put it on the shelf, or just just did it until they popped, or everybody's got a story. We know a lot more now, so there's no excuse not to be educated about safe canning practices, and you can see there. So So I've used citric acid in here as a preserving method in order to keep the pH at a safe level for water bath canning. So I purchased my citric acid through Amazon, and you know, I'm trying not to, you know, purchase as much as I have to on sort of out of area, but this was just something that I had grabbed at the time. We were in quarantine, so I had popped that down in my cart and I purchased that. So that is a naturally sourced citric acid, and half a teaspoon goes in the bottom of each jar. And then we have put the tomatoes in, we have packed them really, really tight, filled to the top with boiling water and about ½ inch headspace. We're going to put that jar on, that lid on, that ring on, canning ring, jar on, and then we are going to put them in a boiling hot water bath for 45 minutes, sorry, for a 1.5 or a 1 liter. So these are ready to go. So we're gonna do that, and I will show you in a bit what they look like when they come out of the canner. Here are the tomatoes in the hot water bath for 30 seconds. As you can see, they are going to be losing their skin very shortly. Any bruises that may appear will appear, and you're going to trim those off before canning them. So right here I've got a bowl of cold well water. It's water that I just used for another batch, but that's okay. I usually get a couple batches out of that. Not that it's a huge deal, but it's nice. So I'm just going to put that in there, and those peels are going to come right off. As you can see, they're coming, and that stops the enzymes. So that stops actually things from you know, keeping going, cooking and things like that. So you really want to slow that down so that they don't go into the jars. Okay, it also kills any bacteria that may be present after picking and you know, getting the skins off and things. Here the jars are in the boiling water canner, and they're bubbling away. Here we have the boiling water canner, and basically I picked mine up at a thrift store. It works awesome. I've been using it for years. Anyway, but yeah, I've got the jars, the new lids and the new seals, and the rings are there as well. You can reuse the rings because I store them on the shelves without the rings on in order to make sure that none of my seals have given way or anything like that. So it's important to have about an inch to an inch and a half of water over top of your jars when you're doing a hot water, boiling water canning, sorry. And so you want to make sure that that happens in order for it to be safely canned. That you either reprocess it or use it, put it in the fridge and use it right away, as it won't be shelf stable. If it is a full, you know, waits a full 5 minutes, and then you take it out and put it on the counter to cool, and you're going to put them a jar width apart in order for them to cool, okay? So I'm just going to take these out of here. So I'm going to reach in here, there, and these are coming out of the canner, and as you can see, oh, they've got just a lovely color, and they're floating a bit, which I'm not a pro canner. Some people get really upset if the tomatoes are floating. I'm good. As long as it's safe. So we're gonna take these out, and there's a nice big 1.5 liter jar. So that's gonna make up a lovely batch of spaghetti sauce for us this winter. And a lot of people wonder why on earth you would go to all this work, and trust me, it is work. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in a certain season of my life where the heat of canning does not agree with me. The heat of summer does not agree with me. Nothing with heat agrees with me. So a certain season of my life that just is, you know, but why go to all this trouble? Well, you know, what we know about building immunity now means that we need to eat fresher. We need to eat things right from the garden that have been grown with microbes and dirt, and have been grown in healthy soil. So basically what I want to do is make sure that my family and myself are eating the very, very, very best we can. And that means eating goodies right from our garden. And the best way to preserve that is the best way to keep that and make sure that we do that all winter is to preserve it either through canning or freezing. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I can just take these and pop them into the freezer, take tomatoes, pop them into the freezer and deal with them later. Okay, but I have literally, like I mentioned, I have about 25 pounds of tomatoes that I was going to work with today, and I really just needed to get them done. So the best part about raw packing is that you can do this sort of quickly. You can get this done and you can keep going. You know, you don't have to sort of stop and start. Once you get a little system going, you're good to go. So I'm going to take this one out, and then I'm going to top up the water a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it to a boil again. And I'm going to process the last of my jars, which I just took out of the oven to keep them hot while I was waiting for this batch to process. So in an ideal world, I would have multiple canners going. You know, as I mentioned, no, not gonna do it. Outdoor kitchen is on my wish list one day, but for now, you know, I think we just, sometimes we just need to jump in and do things and not wait until things are perfect to do them. So you want to make sure that you are preserving your harvest as quick as you can and as fresh as you can. And for me, that means canning. Now, if you did not grow your vegetables this year, okay, if you did not grow your own vegetables this year and you are interested in preserving a harvest, you can see my coleslaw behind there. If you are interested in preserving a harvest, you can go to a farm market and you can go to a farm and you can buy directly from the farmer and do it that way. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are so many things that I do not grow here that I am able to go. In Barrington, we don't have any farmers markets, but we are able to get some produce in Yarmouth, and we are also able to get some produce in Bridgewater at Indian Garden Farm Markets, which is one of my favorite places to go. So if you weren't blessed enough or weren't able to get that garden going, stuff happens, life happens, don't give up. Just, how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we jump in, we get little things done, and, it may not mean that you are able to do all of the canning this year. Oops, and I did mean to show you, look way over there. So way over there, you can see all of my canning is filling up, and I'm going to be filling the other one. I have some filled up. And you can see Daisy, she wants to get out. You can see that a lot of our canning is, sort of slowing down. I have some beets to do today, and I have a few other things. I've got to put some sauerkraut in to ferment. But, as far as tomatoes go, I have canned them, I have dehydrated them, I've put them in salsas, I've froze some, and I have got some in storage in a drawer in order to rotate some green ones so that I'm able to have some fresh tomatoes until December, most likely. So anyway, that's a little bit about canning tomatoes today, and I hope you enjoyed that. By all means, I'm going to link to the recipe, the tomatoes processed in boiling water canner recipe from the Complete Book of Preserving, and I will be sure to link that as well, so anybody who's interested can go and sort of start eating that elephant. It's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. Take care, everyone.